Hello, hello, and welcome to another video around the issues and challenges of women with good girl syndrome. And today's Halloween. And so I thought this would be a good time to look at how we can face our fears as good girls. For good girls, facing our fears can be especially scary. But what are good girls afraid of and why? Because good girls are taught to be perfect. Our conditioning teaches us to please others, to avoid failure at all cost. And this could lead to a lot of fear and anxiety. So I wanted to share just a few things that can be scary for good girls. And what are some things that we can do about it? So one thing that good girls are often afraid of is being judged by others, especially if they don't conform to the expectations of others. And as a good girl, you might be afraid of being seen as selfish, uncaring, or incompetent. Another thing is that good girls are often afraid of being wrong, because as a good girl, you believe that being wrong means that you're bad. So good girls may go to great lengths to avoid making mistakes, even if it means sacrificing their own needs, their own values, their own desires. Good girls can be rather afraid of being alone, because good girl conditioning makes you believe that you need others to validate you. You need others to make you feel worthy. And you might be afraid of speaking up for yourself or taking risks because you don't want to risk being rejected or abandoned. Also, good girls can be afraid of letting go of control. This is a big one for me. This has been my life's work, I think I could say. Because good girls, we believe that you need to be in control in order to stay safe and secure. And we have this magical thinking that if we control things, we will stay safe. Another piece is, we have difficulty trusting others, delegating tasks, because we're afraid of losing that all important control. Another thing as a good girl you can be afraid of is being yourself, because we're often taught to be perfect and to please others. And so that can make it very difficult for us to be authentic, to express our true nature, and feel that being ourselves is okay, that we aren't going to be abandoned, that we aren't going to be made wrong. And therefore, we're also afraid of speaking up. We're often taught to be quiet, not make waves, not rock the boat. So that can make it difficult for you to speak up for yourself and to advocate for what you believe to be true. What about failing? As a good girl, you're often taught that failure is something to be avoided at all cost. And again, that comes back to being accepted and being loved for who we are. And the idea of making mistakes and failing doesn't fit with this idea that we can be loved for who we are. So therefore, we don't take risk. We might not try new things. And I've spoken about this already, but I'll put it into a kind of separate thing is the fact that as a good girl, you're often taught that you need to be loved and accepted by everybody. We have to be we have to be everything for everybody. And that makes it really hard to put up healthy boundaries, right? Because what if we put up a boundary and we get rejected? So, for all the good girls out there, these fears can hold you back from living your life to your fullest. And these things can prevent you from being authentic, from taking risks, from pursuing your dreams. But it doesn't have to be like this. As a good girl, you can learn to face your fear. As a lot of people tonight are facing their fears of ghosts and Harry Krueger and or whatever his name is, since it is Halloween. And the thing is, when you look at Halloween and the idea of ghosts and whatever else, it's a lot of these fears are fictitious, just like a lot of our fears are, good girl fears are. Fear, actually, the acronym is false evidence appearing real. FEAR. False evidence appearing real. So with these fears that stop us from really living our authentic life, it could take courage and self-awareness to step out of that. So what are some things that women can do who have a good girl syndrome? How can you face your fears? Well, you could start by identifying your fears. Yeah? What are you afraid of? What triggers those fears? And once you know what you're afraid of, you can start developing a plan to face those fears. And you can also question those fears. Is it absolutely true that X will happen if I say Y? Is it 100% true, undeniably true? It's a really powerful question to ask yourself in anything, be it your fears, be it negative beliefs, which is what I want to move on to next, challenging your negative beliefs. Because a lot of the fears that good girls experience are based on negative beliefs about yourself. For example, as a good girl, you may be afraid of being judged because you believe that you're not good enough. Of course, a lot of these beliefs come from many years ago when you were very young. How about starting to take steps to accept yourself? That would really be the first step in being authentic, is accepting who you really are, flaws and all, warts and all. So that also means letting go of perfectionism, which is something that a lot of good girls suffer with, and actually embrace your imperfections. Another thing, good girls, we are a lot of the conditioning teaches us that not to speak up. So another way to face your fear is to find your voice. Find a way to express yourself and to speak up for what you believe in. That also means connecting with your values, what's really important to you. Yeah, when you're really clear about your values, it's also then easier to speak up for yourself. See, and speaking up for yourself doesn't mean you have to be loud and obnoxious, but it does mean being willing to share your thoughts and feelings, even if they're not popular, even if you risk upsetting somebody. And another thing with good girls is failure is like a 4-letter word. It's just the worst. So we have to learn that failure is a part of life. Failure is normal. Everyone makes mistakes. And actually, especially when you are exploring, when you're experimenting, when you're putting yourself out there, failure will come. if you're not failing, you're not out there in the arena, is what I would say. And the great thing about failing is you can learn from your mistakes and then keep moving forward. I used to have a boss that used to say falling forward. It wasn't about failing, it was about falling forward, because we still take steps forward when we fail. We get to a new place where we can really take in those learnings. One more thing I want to say about challenging your fears is to set healthy boundaries, which is really important. Set healthy boundaries with others so that you can protect your time, your energy, your space. And this means saying no to things that you don't want to do, standing up for yourself when you're being treated unfairly. And the thing is, boundaries can be super tricky because there's probably a few people in your life that are benefiting from you not having healthy boundaries. So there's probably going to be some pushback, but it's so important for you to do that. So it's not always easy to face your fears. Then again, it's also not easy to be stuck in good girl conditioning. But it's important to remember that you are worthy of love and respect, no matter what. So I'm not going to tell you not to be afraid but I want to tell you that even when you are afraid facing your fears, be with that fear. Allow yourself to feel it and still face whatever it is you need to face in order to live more authentically. So with that, I'm going to finish up. I want to say happy Halloween and all the best with going out there today onwards, facing your fears as a good girl.